From Wave 3 News, where coverage comes first. This is Wave 3 News at 6 with Jackie Hayes, Scott Reynolds, meteorologist John Belski, Bob Dominy Sports, and troubleshooter Nel Taylor.
The salt trucks are loaded and ready to go. The grocery stores are crowded with people shopping for necessities. Everybody's getting ready for snow. Good evening. Scott has the night off. A winter storm warning is in effect for all of Wave Country through tomorrow. With a combination of snow and ice on the way, Storm Center 3 is up and running to keep you up to date about weather conditions. We want to check in first of all with John Belski for the very latest on what's going to happen. John?
All right, Jackie. Road conditions will get a lot worse later tonight, but should improve rapidly tomorrow morning. That's the good news there. Let's kind of run down in headline form here what to expect. Here in Louisville, snow beginning mid-evening will continue for several hours before it changes to sleet for several hours. And then as temperatures warm, we'll go to freezing rain for a while and possibly even to plain old rain by morning as the temperatures continue to increase. At this point, we're looking at a 2 to 4 inch snow accumulation here in the metro area. That would be less if the sleet begins earlier, or it could be more if the sleet holds off until late tonight. The worst driving conditions from late evening through the overnight hours with the salt crews working and the temperatures inching up, though, toward morning. Main roads slushy to wet. Your side roads, though, will still be a mess in the morning. So the change from last night's forecast, Jackie, is that last night we weren't sure if we're going to get that sleet or ice in here. Now tonight it appears that's more likely that will be mixed in with the snow later on tonight.
Which could make it tricky for driving, but that warm-up will certainly help.
Yeah, if you're out about 2 o'clock, it's going to be very tricky, yeah.
All right. Thank you, John. Well, John keeps an eye on the approaching storm in the Weather Center. Wave 3's Craig Edwards is watching it at the National Weather Service office. He joins us now live with more on the perspective from there. Craig?
Right, Jackie. We've been watching the Doppler radar here, the NEXRAD, and once again you can see the approaching moisture out there. And where you see that little X on the screen, that's about the point where we're beginning to see some of the precipitation make it into the lower levels of the atmosphere. In other words, it's getting down close to the ground, and that's the area we're seeing some snow beginning to get close to us. It's going to take a little while before that starts to move on into the Louisville area, so we're going to be watching it over the next several hours to see exactly when this starts to move in. And obviously, John was telling you, it looks like it's going to start off in the form of some snow and perhaps change over to some freezing rain a little bit later on. Marvin's with me right now. Marvin, tell me a little bit about what we're looking at here on this radar screen.
Yeah, what's happening is that the precipitation is starting to move into the, well, not quite into the Louisville metro area, but it certainly moved into the southern and western portions of Kentucky. A lot of that is still aloft, and so this doesn't indicate that they're getting a lot of snow on the ground yet. And so as the precipitation moves into the area, the clouds will be thickening and lowering, and so we'll start getting precipitation here in the metro area shortly.
Okay. Marvin Maddox of the National Weather Service. And as the ceiling starts to drop, if it gets down to around 3,000 feet or so, then we'll start to see some of that snow reaching the surface. So we'll be watching for that over the next few hours. That's going to be one of the cues we're going to be watching, Jackie, just to see exactly when the cloud cover gets down low enough so that some of that snow actually starts to hit the ground.
And how long it snows could depend on how much we get.
Exactly. We'll be watching that closely, too, and that big changeover later tonight into freezing rain.
All right. Thank you, Craig. Well, this storm certainly comes with plenty of advance warning, so most of Wave Country is prepared for just about whatever comes to overnight. The rush to area grocery stores began bright and early. Wave 3's Lyle continues our live team coverage from the Kroger on 2nd and Breckenridge. Lori, is there anything left?
Well, there are several items left. I tell you, though, it has been pretty close to chaos at grocery stores throughout the day, Jackie. Before they ever made it up here to this checkout counter, I can almost guarantee you there was a mad rush for the bread aisle, then possibly a quick turn to the eggs, and then in the distance, they spotted those few gallons of milk. But in the midst of all this confusion, we managed to find the impossible, a snowbound shopper who manages to remain calm.
Here we go again.
Shug Bryant seems to have more trouble opening the vegetable bags than she does preparing for snow.
They get out early enough and shop after they listen to the news. Sometimes the lines are a little long.
Shug says her checklist, which she never writes down, includes high-energy foods.
Apricots, apricots, apricots.
She says they keep her in shape for...
I have energy to work those jigsaw puzzles.
Now you
answer the telephone, make all those phone calls.
And then the foods to keep you warm and comfy, like
roast and chickens and chilies and that kind of thing.
She doesn't even seem to mind when the grocery store is out of her brand of milk.
They'll stock it tomorrow. But I'm not going to be back.
Take a right.
I can tell you, Jackie, that most store clerks wish that shoppers would remain so calm. It's almost like a Tickle Me Elmo episode at the milk aisle.
What about possible food shortages? Some of those folks might not be so calm then.
Well, on a more serious note, a couple of years ago, many stores did have a shortage. That was a problem back in 1994 in January when we had that huge snowstorm. Since that time, grocery stores have implemented what they call snow plans. They're very prepared. They have emergency backup trucks on standby just in case.
All right. Thank you, Lori. Once people are sure they're going to have something to eat after the snow falls, they're going to turn their attention to making sure they can get around town. WAVE 3 News reporter Michelle Moon is live tonight at the City Public Works Garage where salt trucks are waiting for the call. Michelle?
That's right, Jackie. I'll tell you, it's about 30 degrees out here, give or take a few degrees when you factor in the wind chill. But it's not that temperature that counts. It's the temperature on the pavement that really counts. And right now, it's standing at about 38 degrees on area roadways. Now, once that starts to fall and the snow begins to come down, that's when these trucks will be called into action. All day, city and county road crews have been preparing for the first predicted snowfall of the season. And about noon today, crews began to load salt into 49 trucks. In the county, maintenance crews dusted off snowplows and oiled the blades because this will be the first time they've been called into action this season.
Watch the storm, and the minute that anything starts settling on the ground, we'll have the trucks out. They'll be moving and putting salt down as soon as it will stick and do some good.
Now, an amazing amount of salt we've put down. It comes to about 600 pounds per mile. But don't worry, they have 10,000 tons of salt here at the salt compound, and they'll be using it tonight probably. Now, crews will be here around the clock to monitor those roads through the night, and so will Jefferson County Schools. They'll make a decision about 4:30 in the morning whether they'll cancel or delay school, Jackie.
It could be tough for them depending on the timing of the ice and the snow, etc. All right.
Will.
Thank you, Michelle. WAVE 3's Eldora Jackson has been following state road crew preparations today and joins us now live at Floyd and Broadway with a look at what they're going to do. Eldora?
Well, Jackie, if people decide to head on out of town, chances are they'll probably decide to take the interstates. If they do, the Kentucky Transportation Department says it's prepared to keep all these roads clean, and that's because of a new radar weather system. It's the calm before the storm, and traffic is flowing fine. But little do drivers know that someone is playing guardian angel. A new weather radar shows a snowstorm moving into Kentucky.
As this goes across, or as this front moves through, we're able to track this and keep an idea of what's falling where in the amounts.
This radar system is called DTN. The colors in the monitor break down the different levels of precipitation falling to the ground. It's updated by satellite every 15 minutes. It's a far cry better than the old system, which had updates hourly, and that presented some problems.
You relied on word of mouth from the districts that you dealt with as to what was coming. Not each district had the capabilities of having the radar at that time.
It's just one form of new technology operators for the State Transportation Cabinet use in what's called the War Room.
They're responsible and everything like that for keeping track of the weather during that time. They're responsible for coordinating the activities of our 12 different highway districts across the state.
That's vital in letting the districts know what's coming. Sensors are another piece of sophisticated equipment the state has implemented to help them keep a close eye on the roads. The instruments are now in the Lexington area and will soon be coming to Louisville's Spaghetti Junction.
And this sensor can measure the pavement temperature. It can measure the temperature of ground that's under the pavement. It can measure the depth of moisture that's on top of the pavement, the chemical makeup of that moisture. It can tell you whether there's ice on the pavement.
By the way, the sensors for Spaghetti Junction should be in place by February. Other improvements this year include more trucks on state roads, about 934. Also, more salt is in-house. The state has about 225,000 tons stored. Jackie?
I think it'll be a good thing when they put heaters under all these roads. We won't have to worry about this anymore.
I think that would be great.
All right. Thank you, Eldora.